Last week, I was a member of the greatest audience of all time. And to be clear, those are not my words. Those are the words of Stephen Colbert.
The greatest audience of all time. Of all time!
So last week, on October 30th, 2025, my partner and I went to see a live taping of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert for the second time. The first time was actually on Halloween last year. So it was almost exactly the 1-year anniversary of the first time we had gone. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to attend a live taping of a TV show, here's what that's like. So the reason why we were called the greatest audience of all time is because we had to stand outside in the rain for several hours waiting to get in. Because the general process for attending a taping like this is you go onto the website that offers the tickets, which are offered for free. You make an account and you sign up for a specific date. You don't know for sure if you're going to be accepted for that date until you get an email confirmation about it. And the reason why the tickets are free is because they always want the studio audience to be completely full. So what TV studios do is they offer the tickets for free. That way they know for a fact that the audience is going to be completely full every time. And I should specify, this taping and the one last year are the only tapings that I have ever attended. So I have no idea what the process is like for other shows, but I would assume it's somewhat similar. But for The Late Show, what they do is once you have a ticket through the website, you start lining up at 2:30 in the afternoon. Granted, you can line up later, but if you do, you're not guaranteed to get a seat. They do give you all this information beforehand. They also tell you that they overbook the audience. So it's not like any of this is a secret that they're hiding from you. So we showed up at 2:30 and they gave us wristbands. Those wristbands allow you to leave the line and come back at a later time. But you still have to be there no later than a specific time, which I want to say was like 3:45 this time. I was very thankful that it was only like 60 degrees outside because it was absolutely pouring rain. Apparently that was part of a hurricane or a nor'easter or something. And I thought that the jacket that I was wearing was waterproof. As it turns out, it was not. It retained a whole lot of water. So we got our wristbands and my partner and I went out and grabbed lunch, which was at like the worst freaking deli I've ever eaten at in New York City, I swear. It's like right around the corner from where the Ed Sullivan Theater is, which is where they film The Late Show. And not only was the sandwich absolute mush, I think they used Cheese Whiz or something. Like the menu didn't even say that there was going to be cheese on the sandwich, which was why I picked it to begin with. And then lo and behold, it's like a panini filled with Cheese Whiz and like turkey and bacon, like the oldest tomato I have ever attempted to eat. I took a bite and the tomato was so dry. Like this slice of tomato was so dry that I took a bite, and when I pulled away, the whole slice of tomato came with it. But it was like paper thin, but you could not bite it apart. It was so gross. And most of the reason why we had gone to this place was because I really had to go to the bathroom. So I asked the person who was working behind the counter if they had a restroom before we ordered anything. And this man said yes. And that's all he said to me. He neglected to tell me that it was one single bathroom with a toilet with no toilet seat. And if you've ever traveled in New York City, you'll know that it is absolutely impossible to find bathrooms that aren't either very public, meaning they have very long lines and they're generally pretty gross anyway, or are inside a business, but you have to be a paying customer to use them. So I was already locked in. So I put a whole bunch of toilet paper down on that toilet without a toilet seat, and I made it work. But yeah, never going to that place again. After lunch, we went back to the line and waited for about another half hour or so. They let us in at about 4:15. They also give you like one last call to use the bathroom because when they're taping, not only are you not allowed to have any kind of recording devices inside there, which is not that surprising, but you're not allowed to leave the room, even to use the bathroom, for the entire duration of the taping. So if you have a weak bladder, I would not recommend doing this. Now, in the Ed Sullivan Theater, there are 2 different levels. You have the lower level that you can sit in, that's where we sat last time, and they have the upper balcony level. I can say now, having experienced both the lower level and the upper level, that the upper level is actually a pretty good seat. Because on the lower level, what happens is a lot of the TV cameras and equipment and stuff that they're using kind of gets in the way of your view. Whereas on the upper level, you might not be able to see people if they're at like the very front of the stage, but you have no camera equipment in the way. So that was pretty cool. Last year, the episode of the show that we went to see, the guest was Seth Meyers. And to our disappointment, the segment that was filmed with Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers had been pre-recorded, which meant that yes, we got to see Stephen Colbert live and also Louis Cato and the Late Show Band. But when it came time to show the guest, we just got to watch their pre-recorded interview on the TV screens throughout the theater, which like not the end of the world because I understand that sometimes with TV things are pre-recorded. We're only really there for Colbert anyway. So we got to see Stephen Colbert. That was really great. It was also the 3rd time that my partner and I have seen Louis Cato live because we had seen him twice for the episodes that we went to see the filmings of. And we also got to see him perform as a guest with Wolfpack a couple years ago. It was also our 3rd or 4th time seeing Niga Santos live because again, we saw 2 episodes and she was also a guest musician when we went to see Lake Street Dive earlier this year. So not only did we enjoy seeing Stephen Colbert live, we also enjoyed seeing the Late Show Band live. When they first start filming the show, what happens is Paul Mercurio comes out. Now, Paul Mercurio is a comedian, and he's also kind of like the hype guy for the audience for the Late Show. So he comes out, he does some crowd work, he tells everybody how loud they have to cheer and clap, and basically tells them that they have to keep the energy up because we are a live studio audience. So we have a little bit of a job to perform. And honestly, I hope he's proud of me because the next day, my wrist was sore from how much I was clapping. Like, I am completely serious. Like, I hurt my wrist clapping so much and so hard and so loud. So you're welcome. And then after Paul Mercurio, the Late Show Band comes out. This year, the Late Show Band came out and started playing We Want the Funk, which in terms of music for me is right up my alley. But what was really cool about it was they started playing We Want the Funk, and because it was the day before Halloween, each musician came out and did a solo that was kind of like Halloween related. Like one of them did the Addams Family theme, one of them did the theme from Jaws, which I guess is Halloweenish because it's a horror movie, and it was just really fun. So then after the Late Show Band did their introductions and had all their solos, Stephen Colbert came out, which was when he called us the greatest audience of all time. And if you watch that episode, while he's talking about us being the greatest audience of all time, at some point, it does show the audience up in the balcony section. So if you want to play Where's Renda, you can see me in a few of those shots. And then after Stephen Colbert did his opening monologue, it was time for the guest, Sir Anthony Hopkins, which was pre-recorded. But honestly, because that was also our experience from last year, it's kind of what we were expecting. It was still very, very cool to be there for the episode that Sir Anthony Hopkins had been interviewed for, though. And after the interview segment was over, Stephen Colbert kind of gave us a little added bonus. Apparently, their interview had been something like an hour and a half long, but obviously they only have so much time during the show, so they weren't able to show the entire thing. So as kind of like a consolation prize for us not being able to see Sir Anthony Hopkins in person, Stephen Colbert gave us a little bit of behind the scenes information and told us some of the answers that Sir Anthony Hopkins gave in the interview that were not included in the episode. So that was really cool, kind of like a little Easter egg. That was also the same day where the interview with Frankenstein's monster was recorded, which we did get to see live. It was very cute. And then at the end of that, Stephen Colbert asked the audience if they had any questions. Now, last year I know I had a question, but where we were in the audience, he never wound up calling on me. But this year he did. And the question that I wound up asking is, how has your perspective changed from day to day, knowing what is going to happen with this show? And he gave a decently lengthy answer that was very wise and very kind. And I am terrible at remembering the actual words that people say sometimes, but the general gist of what he answered was that back when he first started filming The Late Show, his daughter was like 9 or 10 years old. And he told her at the time, this could all go away tomorrow. And that's kind of how he's operated the entire time. And then he went on to talk about how he appreciates everybody who works on the show and how much he loves being a part of the family there. And while I may not remember all of the words that he said, I will never forget having Stephen Colbert look directly at me, call on me to ask a question, and then actually make eye contact with me the entire time he was answering it. Like, he didn't just answer the question as though he was talking to the entire audience. He answers the question like he is just talking to you, which I very much appreciated because it felt so cool. And then once the show's over, that's basically it. You're just kind of let outside. You don't get to meet him or anything. It's not like a celebrity meet and greet or anything special like that. So the fact that I was able to have my question answered, like, I understand how important this show is to society as a whole. And I understand how huge of an impact not only that show has made, but that Stephen Colbert himself has made. I'm also very fortunate that I live in Connecticut and that I'm just a couple-hour train ride away to be able to go down to New York City and attend a taping of The Late Show. But yeah, that's what it's like attending a live taping. It might not be the most glamorous thing in the world, but that doesn't change the fact that I still get to say that I was a member of the greatest audience of all time.